Good evening, everybody. This is the Sister Chat. I am your co-host, Ontaria Kim Wilson. We are going to have a phenomenal show for you this evening. Tonight, we do have our host, Miss Shauna Williams, who will be coming on, and we also have the financial coach extraordinaire, Mr. Curtis. So we're just waiting a few moments for them to come on deck. I hope that today everybody is having a phenomenal day, that you are enjoying this beautiful day that God has created. And so we are going to be opening up lines this evening. If you have any questions regarding your financial state with credit, fixing your credit, investment opportunities, any investment questions, things of that nature, tonight is that night. So I want you to get a pen, get a piece of paper, and kind of jot down any questions or thoughts that you might have, so that we can be thoroughly prepared for today. As you can see, we are celebrating October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So this month, we are honoring all of our women and our men who are battling breast cancer, who have gone through the whole journey of being a breast cancer survivor. We are honoring and lifting up those people who have transitioned and were soldiers in the fight through breast cancer. Just to give you a little bit of my background, both of my grandmothers, they both had breast cancer. And so it's important to be aware of your your family's history with cancer, because sometimes it heightens your risk. So I am a person who would be considered quote unquote high risk. So ladies, get your mammograms. Get your mammograms. And if you are considered high risk, know that you can start getting your mammograms before you are 40 years of age. So today, I just want to just give today I just want to give again some love and some thoughts and good energy to those people who are actually going through the whole process. And a little bit more about my background. I worked for University of Penn for about 9 years. And during that course, I was working in the Department of Radiation Oncology. So I came into contact with people who suffered with all different types of cancer, from lymphoma to um, leukemia, breast cancer, brain cancer, neck cancer, throat cancer, prostate cancer, ovarian cancer, um, uterine cancer, skin cancer, like whatever is out there, I came in contact with. So I would say to you, if you are a person who now has been diagnosed with cancer, I encourage you to seek treatment. I encourage you to allow your family to be there for you. Allow your friends to be there for you. You are not an island by yourself. We are here for and with you, walking with you the entire way. If you are a person whose family member or your friend has been newly diagnosed or is diagnosed, I encourage you to be there, to walk with them, encourage them, because we are a tribe. We're a tribe that needs each other every step of the way. And that journey is a journey it's a special one. It's a special one. I also like to mention that my father, he suffered with leukemia. So I went through that process with him as well. Um, yeah. So today I just want to, if there is a name of a person that you want to acknowledge today that is a breast cancer survivor, that has been newly diagnosed or has transitioned, I strongly encourage you, share with us their names today so that we can lift them up and remember them and encourage them and let them know that we are there for them, walking with them the entire way. Again, if you have any questions, if you have any questions at all, feel free. If it's regarding breast cancer awareness, if it's regarding your financial state, just know the Sister Chat is here for you. And we are going to take a brief pause for the calls. I'm going to play a little bit of music for you guys just to encourage you today. Give me one moment.
Are you kidding me? Hello? Are you kidding me? Did that really happen? Did that really happen? Please. Y'all hear me now?
Yes.
I hear you clearly. It's okay. It's okay. Because you know why?
This was funny.
It's okay. Because I had it covered.
This was funny. I didn't know I wasn't on the screen.
You didn't know you were?
I didn't know I wasn't.
Oh, that's funny. Definitely were.
The Facebook page. I see the little circle, and then I see you sitting there going, I'm like, I'm done.
Well, we're here. I was gonna take a pause for the calls, play some music, get the people, nice and encouraged and all that fun stuff. I shared with them the fact
You
that
still
Shauna is
good.
here. Shauna
That's-
is here. Curtis is here. We are ready to rock. They
That's
know
why. Look at that. Look at the love. Look at
they
that.
know that we're celebrating breast cancer awareness. I let everybody know, just as a reminder, if there's anybody that you know that has been newly diagnosed, that is diagnosed and going through the journey, or someone who has transitioned, share their name with us so that we can lift them up, encourage them, acknowledge them. And I also let them know if they have any questions that they have prepared for today. Or now knowing that we have the financial guru on the line, if they have any questions or comments or thoughts or whatever, jot those babies down, send them over to us, and we'll make sure that everybody is covered on all levels. So, we're back.
Are the bomb.com. That's my sister in that chair over there. Yes. Abu. Thank you for holding it down. That's what we do. And yes, we're still in the house. And yes, we are lifting up our children because it is the month of October, which is breast cancer awareness month. Now, Kim, did you tell them that we're doing this October 31st?
I did not. I left that for you.
Okay. Before we begin,
hold on. You might want to turn down a little bit. There's a really bad echo coming from your end.
Yeah, and I don't know where it's coming from.
Just so we check, how's my audio?
Good. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfectamundo.
Y'all keep introduce Curtis while I mute out and come in again.
Right. No problem. So Curtis, how's your day going so far?
It is going great. I'm excited to be back.
I'm so glad to have you back on our last call, our last show. Our minds were blown. Our pens were out, taking down those notes, transitioning our ways of thinking. You struck a lot of chords with people.
Let me ask you, through this show, can I do, like I see on the bottom it says screen share, so I may like show something just so I can give a framework, and then I'll let questions come from that. And I think that might be
absolutely.
I'm a financial educator, right? I mean, I implement, but I teach, so I like, give me a whiteboard, give me something to show, and I'm dangerous.
You got it. And I'm that kind of learner. I'm a visual. So put it on paper, put it on the board, give me some PowerPoint, and I'm here all day.
I mean, I can go straight off the top, just do questions. I just saw it last week, but I figured maybe I will give it a little more structure this week, and it might draw out even better questions.
Absolutely. So you
don't even know what to ask until somebody prompts you, and that might bring up a thought. So I thought we might try that way a little bit today.
Exactly. So whenever you're ready, once you get rocking and rolling, share a screen is all yours.
Let me just see. Let's test it.
Okay.
Can you see that?
No. I'm thinking, there you go. Okay.
Okay, it's a little bit delayed. And so are we still in the frame or
You're there.
Okay. Are we ready? I just want to make sure it's worked. I don't know if we're going to start yet.
You're fine. I mean, if we want to get rocking and rolling, we can. So the last time we talked, we were just kind of scratching the surface on financial literacy regarding maximizing your investments, maximizing your money, and making your money work for you, and kind of dispelling some of the schools of thought regarding longevity in your finances, with investing in stocks and bonds, IRAs, and mutual funds, all that fun stuff, and kind of dispelling some of the school of thought behind that, which actually prolongs your journey to wealth.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pass the baton to you wherever you want to start off. The floor is
Okay,
yours.
so I think I may cover, because I think you're going to open up for calls. So I want to give people a little bit of food for thought, I think, and then I'll just kind of keep it open for them, and then we'll just flow from there.
Okay.
So one of the things that I teach, so I teach something, I'm in something called the prosperity economics movement. And so this is the framework I want people to come from. So most people are coming from the framework over here on the left, which is taught by what I call the financial entertainers of the world. And most typical advice in personal finance directs learners to accumulate net worth, pay off debt, get out of debt, pay off your mortgage, invest in a diversified portfolio of mutual funds for the long term, max out your 401k, buy and hold. When you think investments, you think investments in mutual funds and a 401k are synonymous, okay? And they're not, okay? Remember, what did I say investing was last week? Something where you put your money where your principal is safe and you have a reasonable opportunity to make a profit. Anything that doesn't meet that definition is speculating, okay? So most people are speculating with 95% of their capital, okay? And but why is that? And see, so when you look at, so this, and they're taught the buy term investor difference. So when you hear stuff like build a retirement nest egg, asset allocation, portfolio rebalancing, dollar cost averaging, all of those are terms of the accumulation theory, okay? So now, this is where 98% of the financial advice comes from. And so it's designed, I work a lot with entrepreneurs. So most of this is designed for employees, because the typical, what's sold to people is that you're not smart enough. You don't have the time, the temperament, or the training to personally manage your own money. So basically, in so many words, all of their advice boils down to give your money to us. So you just acquiesce that I'm just going to work. You don't have any idea where it's going. I'll ask people, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your knowledge about the stock market? Right? Most people say 1. So they don't know what they're in. They don't even know who's managing the money that you're going to leave it in here for 30 years. And really, your HR person is your investment advisor. Because they say, well, you're young, you can afford to take a lot of risks. That's the best advice you're going to get. So this is where most people are taught. But now, if you look on the corporate finance side, so this side we'll call the accumulation theory. The corporate side is what I call the velocity method. This is how institutions handle money. This is how the Buffetts, the Oprahs, the dare I say the Trumps, the Jeff Bezos of the world. This is how they handle money, right? And what they teach is velocity of money. So velocity is just an economic principle that talks about the movement of money. The more times you can make money move, the faster it'll turn over. So for example, let me put it in non-money terms. So my family was in the supermarket business. Okay, we're also in the tavern business. So if I go to the State store and get a Bacardi, I forget the price now, but I think Bacardi is like $13 a bottle. So we had a 1 ounce shot. There's 25.4 ounces in a bottle, right? So at $3 a shot, that's $75 off that bottle, right? On that bottle that we bought for $13, right? So now, am I buying liquor to leave it on the shelf?
No.
I got to sell it, and then I've got to go back and do what?
Re-up, get more.
Re-up and get another one. So what? I can sell it. But the typical advice teaches you to just put money on the shelf and leave it there. Okay, that's velocity. Okay, and so cash flow. You want cash flow. See, what did I say last week? My goal is not to tell you what to invest in. My number one goal is to help my clients understand the difference between an asset and a liability. Right? This is where I Rich Dad Poor Dad. And so, what's an asset? Something that pays you, something that puts money in your pocket. What's a liability? Something that takes money out. So you've got to know the difference. And so you do have to save. It starts with savings, but then you want to buy assets. What is assets? Something that generates cash flow. You want to manage your risk. You want to protect your downside risk. And this is another conversation for another day, but banks store their cash in permanent life insurance. They teach you to buy term investor difference. Banks buy whole life. They store their capital. Banks store their what's called their tier 1 capital in whole life insurance. They buy, if you worked at a bank, they buy life insurance on you. It's called BOLI, bank-owned life insurance. So now, here's the funny thing. This strategy works in personal finance. And it's safer. It gives you more control. And you don't have all your money at risk. But you don't get to know this. Why? Because they're in business and making money off of you. So while they're teaching you to buy and hold and dollar cost average in the rule of 72, they're teaching you to park and pray your money. They're using your money to do what?
Make money.
Okay. If you're getting a 15-year mortgage, somebody asked me last week, should I pay extra on the mortgage? Well, let's see. If you're paying extra on your mortgage, what does that do for the bank? It creates velocity for the bank. Are they giving that money right back to the depositor? No. Okay. They're flowing it right back out. So see, what happens is you've got to understand the game. You can make a choice to which way you want to play the game, but here's why you won't hear about this. So let me show one more slide. And is this. So there's 4 basic rules that guides financial institutions' advice. Okay. So think about this. They want us to give them our money. Yes or no?
Yeah.
And how often do they want them to give it to us?
Monthly.
Or every paycheck, really, right? Or on a basis. So every pay period, money's coming out of that going into your 401k. Right? They want us to give them our money on a regular basis. They want to keep it as long as possible. So they want you to reinvest your dividends. They want you to leave money in even though the market's going down, even though that's not what they do with money, okay? They don't ride the train all the way down to the bottom, but they tell you, oh, the market's going to come back. You're in it for the long haul, all that BS, okay? And so they want to keep it as long as possible. And then they want to give it to us to give them on a regular basis. They want to keep it for as long as possible. And how much of it do they want to give back to us?
Only a percentage of it.
Well, look at number 4, as little as possible. Right? Because most advisors are paid fees on assets under management. So all the company's objective is assets under management, right? So that's how they judge their institutions. But what does asset management do to improve your life? Okay? Because you can't eat equity. See, so you need cash flow. If you want to become financially independent, especially in a decade or less, which is our goal, then you want passive income twice your expenses. So you've got to look at your funds and say, look, is this throwing off money so that at one day I can stop working? See, that's what you're working for. And it's really hard to reach a target you don't have. And so most people don't have that target. They're just working, throwing in their 401k, and they're hoping, in 40 years, they'll hope. Is hope a good strategy? Okay, that they'll be able to live off this big nest egg. If we have time, I'll show you why that does not work. It's impossible for that to work. Okay, and so I'll just show this 2 more slides actually. So what happens is someone to give this fodder. So there's 3 types of money. Okay, there's accumulated money, there's lifestyle money, the money you spend to maintain your standard of living. The accumulated money is the money you have saved, and there's transfer. So most advice is focused around, guess what? Accumulated advice, right? They're going to say, well, how much you got? We can do better. Why don't you move that money over here to us? Sound familiar? And so when you get that type of advice, who's the only person whose money's at risk?
Ours.
Because everybody's guaranteed to make money but you. Or it's you can't go to Starbucks. You can't go on vacation, live in a sackcloth, and grow your own food, right? I'm exaggerating, right? And so you want to move, so you can move that money over here. So it's like defer your life so that you can put your money at risk to hopefully retire one day. I mean, that don't even make sense, right? So what if the 3rd type of money is transfer? So there's a bunch of money that you spend and give away unknowingly, unnecessarily. And what the best way to create wealth, the first thing we do is create maximum efficiency. So what if you could find that money, use it to, hey, improve your current lifestyle and find it to save even more money so you can reach your goals of financial independence. So what are those things? Taxes, debt, interest, charges, fees, opportunity costs, how you pay your mortgage, how you fund your retirement plans. Those are all wealth transfers. So there's more money lost down here than you'll ever make trying to make your investments work harder. And so most people are chasing rates of return, but if you've got a bucket, it's got holes in it, does it make sense to plug the holes first?
Yep.
So those are the three types of money. So those discussions, you know, when I talk to people, because what I do is I find money that people are losing unknowingly and unnecessarily. So I had a client I was working with last week. I'm looking at her tax return. I'm like, 10 minutes in, you got a refund. I think I talked about this, you know, she got a refund of $6,000. And so what's 6,000 divided by 12? $500 a month. I said, how many allowances are you claiming on your W-4? 0. Now, she's got 2 properties. She's got, I mean, you know, once you understand tax code, she was giving up too much money. So, and she was actually saving at a pretty good clip. But I said, how do you feel about, what's the rate of return that Uncle Sam is giving you on that free money you gave him?
0.
0, right? So it's a refund. Refunds mean your money again. So what if you could adjust it so that you could get that money in your paycheck? Okay, that's an easy one, right? And so you want to be able to judge. According to the IRS, 8 out of every 10 people have their W-4 filled out wrong. How do you know it's wrong? You get a refund. We think a refund's a good thing. Refund's really not. It's unwise. Let me say it nicely. So, and if you're working and you get a refund, it's unwise. Go ahead, stop. Go ahead, because I saw a hand gesture.
Elaborate why.
Why? Okay, so one, you're overpaying your taxes. So here's what you get: a $3,000 refund. Here's what it says: taxes owed $2,000, taxes paid $5,000, refund $3,000. Okay, so now you're giving up the use of your money for a year. Okay, because you're having too much. I had a guy, and I'm looking at his paycheck, and I'm going, why are you so broke? You know, and you know, he was a lineman for an electric company, making, you know, almost $100,000 a year with overtime. His wife, you know, worked at like a daycare, so regular couple, and nice people, 5 kids. And I'm like, I'm looking at his paycheck stub. I'm seeing this big number. I'm seeing this little net number in up his account. I says, wait. And I go through my mind. I have a checklist, you know, mortgage, taxes, that are, you know, they're the transfer. So I go, taxes. Wait, did you get a refund? He goes, yes. I said, how much is your refund? $12,000. I almost fell out. I was like, dude, are you crazy? You know, and then he had an extra $25 being withheld. I said, listen, how about I don't kill all your joy? How about you get back 2,000? Right. And so 10,000 divided by 12 is $800 a month. Now, that being said, because his cash flow was impacted, they had $6,000 or $7,000 worth of credit card debt. They had $300-$400 a month of NSF charges. Because why? Because their cash flow was impacted because you weren't getting enough of your money to cover your expenses, to save money. So if you can adjust it, you can get control of your money, because the first rule of wealth is what? Pay yourself
first. I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so the person knows how much their salary is,
Mm-hmm.
and they pretty much, by knowing what their salary is, can determine what their tax bracket is, like how much taxes they would have to pay, right? Based on that should make them or encourage them to change their, I forget the terminology, but how many allowances you pay. So that means when you, like for me, if I did 0, I know that at the end of the year, I'm going to get this quote unquote big refund. But if I up the allowances, I get more on the front end, and eventually, or the goal is to pay less in taxes.
Well,
If
it's not a question. Yes, the goal is always to pay less in taxes, but it's not a question of taxes. The W-4 is not a tax form. That's a form to tell your employer how much to withhold. That's all it is.
Right. I know that part, but I'm saying as far as we're concerned and trying to maximize our monthly outcome, or to get more money for ourselves on the front end, then we would claim more allowances.
Right. The more allowances you got, you can go on irs.gov and there's a calculator to do this, to play with this, right? Get your 2-page stubs and you can play with it. And so the more allowances you have, and there's a worksheet. So you got to go through it. You can't just, let me go 8. So I don't, you just don't do it. That's not how you do it. I mean, you got to look at your stuff, your kids. Do you have a home-based business? Hint, hint, you should have a home-based business. And I tell people, look, we talked about the Trump article last week, right? So if you have I was telling my clients, if you have a home-based business and you have one rental property, you already can do what he did. Once you understand the tax code, okay? And so that's the thing. Stop getting upset. Stop hating. Don't hate the player, hate the game. And you need to learn the game. So yes, you want to get more of your money by understanding how to complete that and minimize your and so the more allowances you have, the more money you get in your check. And so now if you have that money can be used to, one, because what's our number one goal? Is to save 15% or more of your gross income. Okay. And then you want to eliminate debt. Okay. So there's a formula for that. And so if I can get my money back, then if somebody has debt, then I use a little formula called 10-20-70. 10% to savings. This is a writer downer. 20% to debt elimination. 70% to lifestyle. Okay. If y'all are going to church, then you've got to do your tithing in there. After tithing, depending on who you talk to, will come out of the 70%, which is the lifestyle. But you gotta, you gotta get it first. But giving is a wealth principle, but you gotta get it. But you've got to eliminate debt because you're giving a lot of money away. So let me take a breath there. I'm going to show you one more thing. And from this is where I start all my clients out, because let me just show this first. This is, and then I'm going to stop. Then any question I ask, I can show it on this one sheet. So let me just I call this your personal economic model. And I always tell people, we talk about your personal economy. So everybody's got a personal economy. Some is bigger than others. Others is bigger than yours. The main thing that we have in common is we all want it to grow, right? So how it works for most people, money comes in, goes through the envelope pipe. You got to pay your taxes because you have a job, so you take out taxes. Lifestyle regulator is just my code for cash flow management or budgeting. So you've got to manage your budget, and so you've got to regulate between your current lifestyle desires and your future lifestyle requirements, right? And so what happens is, for most people, money comes in, money goes out, money goes down the drain. That's about right. So really, if I were to do it right, here's what it looked like. No tanks, in and out. And then now it's worse because they don't have enough money. So then you go into debt, right? And so debt is here's debt. Here's how I define debt. Debt is something that you pay for, that something you involve yourself in, is that the only way you have to pay for it is with money you have yet to earn, right? So you're using future earnings as collateral. That's what debt is, okay? To be clear. So here is what you want, I think. So I ask people, do you want to become financially independent? They go, yes. So I'll ask them what they think it is, but then I'm just going to tell you all for right now. So financial independence is, I want yellow tank, investment tank full, your green tank full, and you want to be able to live from the income from your personally invested assets. So in the future, you can release these valves so you can live in the future like you live today. Okay. And so what I teach is this. So I want investments that generate cash flow. So I'll talk about investments with our clients. I'll say we'll talk about the yellow tank today. But my difference is when I talk about the yellow tank, I don't mean stocks and mutual funds. There's 4 asset classes: business, real estate, paper assets, which includes stocks and bonds, but it's a bigger conversation than that, and commodities, oil and gas, agriculture, gold and silver. That's the yellow tank. Okay. And then the green tank is savings. So most people look like this because their money comes in out of their income and they put money right into the risk tank through their 401k, 403b, thrift savings plan, what have you. And they have no liquidity. They have no savings, hardly. Savings, liquid, you can use it, you can touch it without going through a bunch of hoops. And if they do, it's in a situation where they save, and then something comes up, they got to drain the tank. Save, drain the tank. And so for most people, they're just putting and taking. They put and take, end up broke. Or they go through the market does this, oh, coronavirus, boom. You know, and so you have no control over this. And most people are out of control with their financial life. And they've been taught to do so because the institutions make money off of you not knowing this. So you've got to kind of flip the game and do that. So the main thing I teach is I break it down in 3 parts. This is the last part I'll say today. Is one is you got to save. So from here, I want people saving 15 to 20% saving. So I ain't talking about your 401k. I'm talking about if you don't have 3 months, 6 months over here in the green tank, don't even talk to me about investing. You're not ready to invest. You don't have any liquidity. If you have a COVID, what do you got to do? You've got to get your money out. You've got to sell your shares, and you are draining the tank. Because the only way to convert mutual funds into money is to sell the shares. And it took you 10 years to get that. So now you got to start all over again. Okay, so I want people here, and then we teach a special thing called the private banking, but that's a longer conversation. You have me back, I'll show you that one. But we teach people to save it. Step 1 is savings. Step 2 is, in principle 2 in our program, is protection, right? So auto, home, life, disability, having your wills and trusts. So we teach people maximum protection, save, then invest. In that order. So we can have, if y'all want, we can have conversation. Last time I asked me, well, should I pay extra on my mortgage? So we can talk about the house and that kind of stuff. And so I'll stop the share. Then you can ask questions. I'll pull this back up, and then I'll illustrate any questions people have or any questions you have, or I'll leave it up if you want. And then we can talk about it from this perspective, because a picture's worth 1,000 words, I find. So let me take a breath.
I was trying to see if anybody on because I started a watch party. So I was trying to see if anybody had put any notes there or questions. And no.
Okay, so I have a question. So we're talking about paying extra on your mortgage.
Yes.
So let's just say you're paying extra because you are late in your payment. Am I still echoing incorrectly?
You're delayed. Yeah.
All right.
Type your question. Type your question. Type your question. So in looking at the saving, just to recap really quick, the 3 points. 1, save at least 15 to 20%
Of
your income. Protection, having insurance.
Yes.
home, life,
Disability.
hmm,
Disability.
disability insurance.
If you're doing well, general liability, umbrella coverage. Yeah, go
A
ahead.
lot of people don't have disability insurance. I think some people get that, like if they're working for a company and there might be something else that company might offer. But generally speaking, you don't hear a lot of like people just talking about disability insurance or getting it on their own and them feeling as though that's something that they need to
Yeah,
have.
most agents don't sell it, and I'm guilty of that. So I've been focused on at least sharing it with everybody because you're more likely to become disabled than you are to die. And then people say, well, I have it on my job. And so, but they don't know how it works. So, because when you look at job stuff, what are benefits for?
The benefits are the just in cases.
Right. But they're a recruiting and retention tool for the employer. Right. And so if they're buying it as a retention tool, they're paying for it, they want to keep their costs down. So let's say with disability, and they have to insure everybody. They can't really underwrite. Then they have to have a broad definition of disability. And so one of the things that when I go over disability with people, I want to know, is it own occupation or any occupation? So the definition of disability is important because own occ means that if you can't do what you do, they got to pay you. Any occ means that if you can work at Wawa, you're not disabled and we're not going to pay the claim. Right? So it's very important that you have to have that looked over, and you've got to see the definition of disability, when it starts, how long does it last, and that's got to be part. Is it worth putting aside 1% of your income to insure your income in the event you are unable to work because of illness or injury? Stuff happens.
So I have a question. Well, okay, let's do Shauna's question first, and we'll go back to what mine was. So hers was, what if you are paying extra, and this is regarding your mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
What if you are paying extra because you have late payments due, and you still haven't caught up yet?
Well, you're not paying extra. You're catching up. That's different. Like, you have to catch up because the mortgage is a contract. So you're out of compliance with your contract. So if you miss a payment, you sign a payment agreement that you're going to make a payment the first of every month for X amount of years. So you're in breach of that contract that you sign when you sign all those papers, and they could foreclose on you. Right? So you have to get straight. So when I talk about making extra payments, you need to make sure they're applying it right. So you just don't throw it in there. You got to make sure that money's going to help you catch up. You need to probably create a forbearance so it's catching up. And then or something. You just have to be in communication with the company. You don't just throw it in there and hope it goes where you want it to go. And so this is where it gets back to being financially literate, which is the accounting. It's not understanding investments. Financial literacy accounting is understanding your paperwork, what's going on, and you need a team of somebody that can help you kind of get organized and sort this stuff out. And so you're not paying extra. So when I talk about paying extra, I'm talking about your payment is $1,000 a month. You paid $1,000, but you send them an extra $250. That's paying extra on your mortgage because you came out of a class and they told you to, pay it off early. Send in extra money, and if you send this in, or if you pay a 15-year mortgage, here's the conversation. If you buy a $100,000 house and you pay for it for 360 months, you're going to pay $300,000 for this house, right? In interest, because you're going to pay extra $200,000 in interest, right? And so if you pay extra on your mortgage, you can cut this off in 18 years, thereby saving $175,000 in interest. That's the sale pitch. And so here's my question. Does saving interest make you money? Does it make you, can saving $175,000 of interest help you become financially independent?
No. And the reason why I say that is because that's money you may have not earned yet. So it was never yours in the beginning. Like, so you're not putting that money out. It's not like you're making money off of the interest. It doesn't really exist.
It doesn't exist. Matter of fact, it's worse than that because here's what they don't teach in personal finance is the concept of opportunity cost, which is a real cost. So that means that every dollar that you get, you have a chance to spend it or invest it. Once you spend it, it's, through the tanks, down the drain, and gone forever, right? But not only is it gone, so this is where we talked about last week, we talked about the rule of 72. So this is how I use the rule of 72. So let's say you could get 6% on your money. So 6 goes into 72, 12 times. That means your money will double every 12 years. So if you have $20,000 and you left it in that account in 12 years, it will be worth $40,000, then $80,000. So let's say you decide, well, I'm going to withdraw that because I want to buy a car. So now, let me share this again. You just drained the tank, right? And see, so now you've lost the opportunity for that money to go to work for you, haven't you? That's opportunity cost because it didn't stop working. It just stopped working for you. You transferred your wealth to the institution that you were, that you gave the money to. So now it's working for them. So you gave that opportunity away. So you have to, so you're saying, well, look, I'm foregoing. So you want to pay yourself first, but what you're saying, you're foregoing money to give money to the bank to secure their asset, but you're not doing anything to grow your wealth so that you can save money so that you can do what? Buy assets that generate more cash flow. See, what's the higher best use of your money? You see, so you have to see that there's two sides of every coin. See, most people just are tunnel vision, they see one thing, and you've got to understand the other side. The opportunity cost is a real cost. We teach that in our principles of prosperity. Ignore opportunity cost at your own risk. So we teach people to see it and be aware of it and capture it. That's part of eliminating wealth transfers. Becoming more efficient. Stop giving your money away. Just debt. There's good debt. Because think about this. Let's go back to the mortgage thing real quick. So let's look at this scenario. Here's your house. So you got a house worth $200,000. You've got $100,000 of mortgage, and you got $100,000 in cash, and you got $150,000 in your 401k. Are you in debt?
Yeah.
No, you're not. Debt is when you have more liabilities than you have.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right? Because you got the house is worth $200,000, so you have debt. So now, what could you do? You could say, well, look, I'm going to drain the tank and pay the house off. So now you have a house with no mortgage, but you also don't have any what?
Savings.
And did that improve the value of your house?
No.
And so you might have saved a $1,200 a month payment, but you have no liquidity. Is there a risk that you can't get to that money? So if you got hurt and you got disabled, could you get a mortgage?
No.
No, because you're not working. You don't have the ability to pay it back. So I don't care if you're free and clear what. That equity is now inaccessible to you. Okay. See, so having the house paid off is risky. You could get sued and they could put a lien against your house and have first position because you don't have any debt. So if you have debt and somebody tries to sue you, the mortgage company has first position, and somebody trying to get at your money has second position behind the mortgage, so it affords you a certain amount of asset protection. So there's a lot of ways to look at this stuff. You know, if you paying down your mortgage, and you got your mortgage down here, but then you lose your job, you know, COVID happens and you can't get back on your feet, the moratorium runs out and you still can't get back on your feet, you are easy to foreclose on. Whereas if I had kept my equity over here in a side fund, see, more equity is a balance sheet neutral position. You want to store it in a house where it has no rate of return. You want to store it over here where you can control it and you can take control of your money. Because I would argue, if you have this much equity, they're going to work it out with you because they can't make any money for closing on you. So you have to stay in control. You've got to understand. So you're getting advice from the mortgage company, from the banks. I already told you what their rules are, right? They want your money. They want it regularly. They want it to keep it as long as possible. They want to give it back. Neither. So everything they design. So there's no financial product that any financial person taught you about that the product in and of itself is going to take you to glory financially. Complete BS. Okay. You are your number one asset. I teach my clients to invest in themselves. Your mindset, your skill set, and your network is what moves the needle. And your number one investment is or your business. That's your fastest path to cash.
But then that's the catch. Okay, let's stop there for a second.
Okay, let me look at Lynette asked the question. If you own a home and plan to purchase a second home, should I take a home equity loan or borrow from a credit union? It depends. Is the second home like a vacation home, or is the second home a rental property that can produce cash flow? Is the question, right? Because there's good debt and bad debt. So if you're using debt to buy, I'm all for that. If you're using it to buy, you know, a vacation, well, in a vacation home is fine if you're going to rent it out. I had a client bought a house in South Carolina. It was renting it out during the summer. I have another client that were going to buy a cabin up in the Poconos. It was rented out every week. They might have used it 2 weeks out the year. It was an asset for them and it appreciated. I said, go for it. I call it your 401k cabin, you know, and that you can, you know, and she had like 5 or 6 kids. And it was a big deal for them to go away as a family on Christmas and, you know, that kind of stuff and do it in the house. So it depends on what you're doing it for. But yeah, you're not going to pay cash. I would definitely use the equity to do the second house for sure. It just depends on, Lynette, which account, what is the best terms that you can get? Because I want the longest term with the lowest payment possible. I really don't care about the rate.
She says she would make the first home a rental.
Then absolutely do it yesterday. Because that's not debt, that's leverage. The tenant's paying the loan back.
Right.
You get the depreciation and you get the write-off the mortgage interest and you get the advertising and the accounting fees, and you could use your home office as a place where you did the books, and now you get the write-off part of your house because you got a business. See, there's so much stuff. See, but you gotta understand the game. So that's a great question, Lynette. So I'm gonna give a plug. You know, this is the kind of stuff we talk about on my podcast, The Practical Wealth Show. And we interview great guests where we talk about the velocity method of how to save money, buy assets that generate cash flow so you can get out the rat race in 10 years or less. But you have to think through that. You know, we created a membership site to go with that because I realized that I've got to, just like you're getting indoctrinated on a certain way of thinking when it comes to money, you've got to get regular re-exposure and have a community of people that are talking like I'm talking to you right now. We talk about that every week because you're getting around people that are broke. I should say it that way. that
I'm gonna say the truth is the truth. I mean, the layman's term. Just we're talking
Right,
layman's
all right, so let me define broke. Broke is a temporary cash flow situation. Poor is a mentality. Poverty is a mentality, right? So broke. I got clients that make 200 grand a year household, but they spend 210. So they're broke. They're not poor, but they're broke. And so most people are broke. They have too much left at the end of their money.
So Lynette says, should I do 15 or 30-year mortgage?
30. What did I say? The longest term you can get. I would take a 50 if if they give me one. I want the payment lower because you want to see. It's easier to pay a 30-year mortgage off in 15 because you got more spread, you got more time. You know, you want a lower payment. See, life is not a straight line. Stuff happens. So you don't want to be locked into a higher payment. You want the lowest payment possible. Plus, look at the economics. See, so if the Federal Reserve or they're lowering interest rates and the Fed is determined to destroy the purchasing power of your dollar, then you might as well get a low rate locked in, and they're going to destroy the payment for you. So just lock in a low. There's no reason why would so here's the premise. Think about this. Your money, because of inflation, will never be worth more than it is today. Right? So if your money is worth more than it is today, why would you send your more valuable present dollars away from you and give them to somebody else? Don't you think the bank knows that? That's why they gave you a lower interest rate on a 15-year. So they can create velocity with present value, more expensive dollars. So you need to pay them back with the same monopoly money they're giving you. And then you need to put money over here in the green tank so that after you get that house, guess what? You should be trying to buy another house a year or two after that.
Shauna said, time out.
Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna try this again. So if you guys is very Curtis is really showing us everything that we really need and value today. So what you can do is you can continue to leave your answers, your questions in the chat, or we can open up the phone lines where you can come in and you can have the conversation. And having the conversation, you will call in through the Zoom line. You don't have to download. Call into the Zoom line, enter the number through the Zoom line of the meeting ID number, no password. You can come straight through and you can ask Curtis your question. Or, as we stated, you can continue to leave your information in the chat room. So we're going to give him one more break because he's been going through, and then we're going to come back. But we suggest that while we're on this 1 second break, go get your water, go get your notepad, go get your glasses, go get your pens, because the teacher is in session. You want to go get this money? And like James Brown said, open up the door. I'll go get it myself. And Mr. Curtis is here to let us know how to go get that money. So guess what, everybody? Class is in session. All right. I hope y'all ready. And it was the muting of everyone that helped. Yeah. Okay. All right. Wait a minute. I'm going to log back out and go behind the screens, and I'm going to continue to rotate with the screens and continue with asking the questions. So if there's nothing to say, Kim, did you do the disclaimer?
I'm in class right now, Sean, okay?
Oh.
So I don't have a lot to say per se, unless professor says something that kind of triggers, but
So we're going to try to throw the disclaimer out there, even though we know for sure there's nothing going against this truth right here. Like, seriously. So the situation is we're not going to push our truth on you. Okay. It's our truth versus how we feel. You may feel it as an opinion, our fact, not your opinion, not our fact. Nevertheless, we want you to treat it like a smorgasbord. Get what you can get from it. Whatever you can get from it, eat it. If you want to treat it like a Cinderella and Cinderella, if the shoe fit, wear it. But if it doesn't, you don't like the food and the shoe don't fit, treat it like Golden Corral. Go to the next pair. Go to the next tray. Or you could do what Kim says.
Eat the meat and spit out the bone. But in this case, I don't think there's much spitting out you'll have to do because this meat is good. Like this is some good information that we all need to be chopping down. Okay.
Tender. I mean, you're gonna get a little choky there because he's gonna tell you some stuff that you knew that you thought you knew that you didn't know. You're gonna have to clear your throat on it. But he gonna make sure he's gonna clear the room. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pan out and clear the room too. I'm gonna sit in here for a little while, but he got some more things to do. But before he do that, we want to recap on some real quick things, which is some real important stuff. As y'all already know, we have the hashtag WHHW. What had happened was, is simply exactly that. Here, you thought you was doing something else, but what had happened was, it actually turned out it was something different. So in knowing that, we understand that we must understand our tax code. It was suggested as a hint that you need to have a home-based business. And we also knew that debt used the right way is good, but you need to know how to use it and when to use it. And 1027, ladies and gentlemen, is not October the 27th. Don't get it twisted. That is a formula that you need to understand and know. And before he leaves today, we're going to ask him again to understand clearly and clarify so we know how to utilize the 1027.
10% savings, 20% debt elimination, 70% lifestyle.
Somebody is studying up in here. I'm just studying. And while you're doing that, don't be fooled by Rule 72. And what it's stating is clearly what he said. The opportunity for you is given away. So you must understand these formulas. You must understand these codes. And again, we hope that you are taking this down. We hope that you're sharing a live because you may know about money, but grandma, auntie, mommy, sister, brother may not. So help somebody, help them to open up the door. And by the time you crack the door open, they can keep the door open and get the rest of themselves. But before the night is over, we're going to make sure that you understand the difference between liabilities versus asset and how to flip it because somebody is wearing the wrong shoe on the wrong foot. Da, da, da. Okay, back to Curtis.
Looking at Lynette's question, I hear people talking about investments like Amazon and Tesla. The investment conversation scares me because it seems complicated. I hope I can read this. You don't mind me, Lynette. And where can I learn about this? I mean, books, but I don't view that as investing. All right, I think you should do some of that. Remember, what is an investment? Investment is something you put your money in. Because let me go back. Here's a question I'll start asking my people. On a scale of 1 to 10, invest and rate your knowledge about the stock market. And so if it's a 10, then okay, then can you? And so what happens is, and it's specifically Tesla, Amazon are companies, right? So what do you know about that company? Although I heard some stuff on the news, I heard it's doing well. Did you look at the financials? Do you know how it works? What's their profit? Do they pay a dividend? I mean, so if you're going to buy that, you need to know that. You can't buy it on a hot tip, right? Because you're just speculating, hoping to hit a flyer. Now, I'm not saying not do that. What I started out with, I said this last week, investing is about becoming something. It's not about buying something. Okay? You have to become an expert. I had a guy on my show, his brother from LA, who had his business, so he taught trading, right? He taught people how to generate cash flow every month by buying stock. It's called covered call options. So he taught people how to do that. Young people, regular people, like, you know, bus drivers and whatever. And he had a system for teaching people how to do that. So now that's becoming an expert in something, right? There's a system for that you became an expert in. So you got it. It's about becoming. So if you want to, so remember that falls under the asset class I call paper. So you've got to learn how that works. Secondly, then you've got to invest in what you can control. Can you control make any decisions about what goes on at Tesla or Amazon?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Okay. And then the third is don't chase returns. So when you buy that, remember, what is our goal? Our goal is to generate cash flow. Does any of that generate cash flow? What you're doing is investing for capital gains. You're hoping to buy it here, and you're hoping to sell it someday up here. And so what is that? Does that help you go to the beach and stay at the beach if you like going on vacation for a month? Does that help you? You know, what does that help you do? Because in order to, because it's all an illusion. So because if you, only way to realize that gain is to sell the stock. They don't pay no dividends. So.
And right now, I think Amazon, because I went on like 2 weeks ago and looked at how much the purchase for one share was. It was like $3,000 something per share. And then the following, like a week and a half later, it was down to like $2,000 something. So you have to look at the times that we're in, how that company functions. Like Curtis was saying, do they pay back dividends? You know, ultimately, what is the grand scheme of this business? What if this business crashes? We don't know if Amazon is going to be around for.
And that's why you have to research the business. If you're buying individual stocks, mutual funds, you're paying the fund managers to do that. But people will say, well, all right, I want to invest in this stock or this. And I told you a story last week. One of my wife's clients was like, okay, I got $10,000. Can you help me? I want to invest. I was like, well, if you gave me the $10,000, that's Yellow Tank, right? Well, how much would you have left? Nothing. So you have no liquidity. You have no savings. You have no, money, and you have no control over anything. That's risky. I mean, I said, look, so you have like 90 days. So the first thing you have to save for is to have 90 days of your income in safe places. So until you have that, don't even talk to me about investing. Okay. And then anything over that 90 days, because my goal is 6 to 12 months of liquidity, but anything over the 90 days is your opportunity fund. And that money is for you to look for things to buy or build cash flowing assets. But the emphasis, see, most people don't want to think. So that's why I told people, most people are not I'm not a good advisor for them, because Curtis expects you to think. There's, if people want an easy button. They just want to work and give their money away and not think about it. Well, you can't win that way. In anything, there's nothing that you don't have to work at to be excellent that takes work. If you want to be a good musician, you got to practice 2-3 hours a day. I played basketball. I used to shoot. At one point in high school, I would shoot 400 or 500 shots a day. So in my mind, I didn't need to follow my shot because I'm not going to miss, because I've shot that shot 400 or 500 times already. So what are you good at? That's why, there's certain things I do in finance that I think about that I'm good at. I work at it every day. And so I work at my business. That's what I can control. And, that's what you got to do. You got to find something that you like. What's your unique? One thing I talk about is what's your unique ability? What comes easy for you that other people find hard? And so you want to lean into that, because money follows value, right? So you have to create value in the marketplace, and your reward for creating value in the marketplace is money. And then you save that money, and then you buy assets. So you might either buy or build your own assets, or you loan your money to other people, and then they will give you a return on that money for loaning them your money for their business. And they'll give you returns on that. But you got to put it to work. Everybody disappeared.
So I have a question.
Okay.
And kind of going back
on that. I'm glad that helped you.
Going back to the insurance piece.
Mm-hmm.
So I know myself and a lot of people that follow me are all in the entertainment business. And most of us are gig workers. So musicians, singers, dancers, writers, actors. In regards to the type of insurances that we should really focus on, I mean, focusing on everything, but I thought about J-Lo and how she had insurance on her body. What'd you say? You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I was being fresh. I just went, hey now.
So there are times when
All right, of the Super Bowl. All right.
So yeah. So a lot of us run the risk of getting injured.
Yes.
And not being able to do our job because that's a job for us or our careers or our businesses. So would you encourage that for people in that industry?
Not only do I encourage it, I require it if you're working with me. Okay. So I teach 5 principles of personal finance. So everybody wants to talk about investing and they skip steps. You've got to save. Most good investments are illiquid. Then you've got to protect the kingdom. So you've got to, I mean everything. So you got to look at your car. So I had somebody I was working with, they're driving around with minimal coverage, 15, 30, and 5. And and then I say, look, you need to have 100, 300, and 100,000 in property damage. This is the liability cover. So if you're in an at-fault accident, you've got to protect your house, because you can get sued. So you got to protect yourself from lawsuits and predators, right? You need to have maybe you insure your equipment, you insure your J-Lo, they'll insure their legs or their body parts with Lloyd's of London because this is what they use to make their money. So if something has value, you insure it, meaning that you pay a premium to transfer risk to the insurance company where other money is pooled together so that if something happens, insurance is to indemnify you, right? Which means to make you whole, to bring you back. If you had a fire, you want replacement costs to bring you back to where you were. If you had homeowners insurance, you've got to. So that all falls under property and casualty. So I work with a partner. I mean, generally I'm licensed to do it. I just refer it out to other people. But disability, what if you can't work? I had a hairstylist that broke her arm in a car accident and she broke her right arm. So she couldn't do hair, but fortunately she had disability insurance and that money carried her. See, so people say, well, I don't think I'm gonna get disabled. I mean, that is so stupid, okay? Who does, okay? Most people don't think they're gonna die. I have paid over a dozen death claims and half of them are under 40. And most people are underinsured. I was talking to this woman, she calls me and goes, well, I want insurance on my daughter. I was like, okay. I said, well, do you have, I've got term insurance on me. And she was like, I've got enough, I'm fine. I want insurance for her. I said, well, I didn't ask her this because it was the first phone call. I said, well, how much do you, take what you make a year. And so she was, I think 39. So take what you make a year and multiply it by 25. That is how much life insurance you need. That's called human life value, okay? If you're between 40 and 50, take your annual income, multiply by 20. And if you're over 50, multiply by 15. You're over 60, multiply by 10. So most of us that look like us on this video, we're underinsured. We still think insurance is to bury you, okay? You'll hear dumb stuff like, well, I don't want to leave any money for these N-words to fight over. I don't want to leave her rich so she can go mess with some other dude. All this dumb stuff that I'll hear out there. And you can't leave anybody rich for insurance. One, you got to qualify, and you can only get a percentage, or not a percentage, but of what you make, right? They're not going to insure. You can't make $20,000 a year and go out and buy, $2 million worth of life insurance. That they won't give you that. So you can't make somebody rich. Insurance is to replace it's not to bury you. People die all the time without insurance. Okay. Insurance is to replace your income and build an estate so that if you don't make it, you still got to make sure the money is there. Whether you live or die, it provides liquidity to your estate. It transfers income tax free, bypassing probate. So that for most regular people in here, your estate is your will, what's it called? Healthcare directive. If you've got minor kids, you need a trust. I had somebody get $500,000, about 25, and didn't call me back. I helped him file a claim, and then I haven't seen him, and I've heard most of it's gone. It hasn't been 2 years yet. So yeah, I don't know that if you haven't been preparing your kids financially, do you want you listen to what I say and give human life value, and you got a death benefit of $900,000, $1.5 million, or whatever? Do you want to leave that to an 18-year-old? Or let's say your kids are 10, they can't even get the money, so you need a guardian that understands what's going on, that you've talked to about it, and you need to set up a trust. See, so these are things. So as a musician, see, because there's two parts of musician. My cousins had a singing group, right? And Shauna knows this. So there is two parts, right? It's show business. And so most people forget about the business part of the show. And so it's not what you earn, it's what you keep. And you see it all around you, of people just getting in bad stuff, or just, consuming money, and, just doing unsmart things with money. So you've got to kind of look at your whole picture. So you can't bypass protection, because protection is playing defense. Liquidity is paying defense. Saving is paying defense. Investing is offense, but you can't invest till you got your defense straight.
Good stuff. Thank you.
It's a long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
No, it was needed. And that's why I asked that question, because we have those types of conversations, and some people flag it, and it's like, no, you need to do this.
So, all right. So let me. So then the people talk about, well, I'm going to just buy term, invest the difference. And so, did you know that's another stupid thing? Because people talk about the theory of decreasing responsibility. Is a company I work for that was your thing. So in the early years you need a lot of coverage, but as you get older, you don't need insurance anymore because you've been saving, and this is based on the assumption that Wall Street was going to take you to glory. So now you have all this money, so now you're self-insured and you don't need life insurance anymore, and now you can let your insurance go. So think about this. If you're 25, 30, what's the odds of you dying?
Nowadays, very likely.
Very, very unlikely, right? And but if you're 65, 70, what's the odds are you dying?
Higher.
100%. Let's just be clear, okay? Unless you know something I don't know. Okay, I only know one person that got around that. And so it's 100%. So you're told to let insurance go at a point where you're 100% chance of using it, okay? And so if I like to, you need term. So there's not to go in there. It's like there's two types of insurance. There's three really, but let's say term and permanent, right? Permanent builds up cash value. There's term, whole life, and universal life, which I despise, okay? And so I like security. I like certainty. I like guarantees. There's an economic value of certainty. So I like whole life. But I like term too, because term is if you want the most insurance you can for the least amount of money, you buy term. There's nothing wrong with term, okay? But if you want certainty and you want a place to store cash, what if you could I'll show you an account where you could earn 4% on your savings, where you could use your savings without using it. You could put it in, put it back out, and access it tax-free like a Roth IRA. If that existed, would you want that? Well, that's whole life. Well, that's permanent, right? And so there's a mixture of that. But see, here, think about this. What percentage of term policies do you think pay a claim?
50.
Less than 2%.
Wow.
Okay. Not that there's anything wrong with the insurance or the companies, is that if you buy insurance at 35, statistically, you're going to be here at in 20 years or in 30 years, right? And so the insurance company knows that. So they get to collect money from you for 20 years or 30 years, knowing statistically you're either going to drop it within the first 3 or 4 years, or you're going to outlive the term. And then when the term ends, the price is going to go up, and then you're going to drop it because you can't afford it. So they've collected money from you and never have to pay out a claim. How profitable a business model is that?
Mm. It's profitable for the company, but not for the
company. Right. So that means, so you need financial products, but you need to get them and organize them in a way that benefits you. And you need to work with somebody that knows how to do that. And most advisors don't.
And a lot of people kind of sway you from getting whole life or permanent life insurance. And it's like when you hold that, I've held those conversations, and they're like, well, no, it's a ripoff.
Right. Well, when Walt Disney needed $75,000 to start Disneyland, guess where he got that money from? He borrowed against his whole life policy. JCPenney. So now what I'm talking about doesn't work. Like a lot of times what they're talking about is true, but I'm talking about specially designed policies that are designed to hold cash, not for insurance. So you can structure them as a place to store cash, which is what I specialize in. All right. And so most, maybe 25 agents out of 1,000 actually know how to do it because it's a specialty. Out of 2,000 insurance companies, only maybe 15 or 20 that the strategy I'm talking about works well with. So, it's a very narrow niche. And so that's actually what I specialize in. But the first thing I do is I got to find the money to help them save it. Efficiency. Then we show them how to save it. And then we teach them how to run their household like the financial institutions, how to handle the money. Like I said over here, how do you do? Am I sharing? I'm not sharing. That's right. I only share. How do you do what the corporate finance says? How do you, generate velocity? How do you focus on cash flow? How do you protect your downside risk? How do you handle money like Bank of America handles their money? Because you can, if somebody showed you.
So say if you're a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put myself out there.
Okay.
Business owner, no children, and like I have term insurance right now. But I heard you say something about the banks earlier on where they all have permanent insurance. Is that permanent insurance per customer? Or is it for the company as a whole?
For the company. So if you worked at a bank, or if I was working with you, I would try to help you save 10 to 15% of your income. And then we would run that through properly structured permanent policies. And then that would be your emergency opportunity fund. So for example, I've got clients, we fund their policies. I had a person, he got a $30,000 tax bill. And so he's making good money. He's making about $500,000 a year. So last year he paid a $20,000 vacation out of cash flow. And then he just paid the tax. I was like, dude, you're killing me. Because he had $200,000 in his whole life strategy I'm talking about. He's been working with me for about 7 years. He's about $250,000 in cash value. I said, dude, because you can leverage the cash, use the insurance company money without draining the tank. So you're using their money, right? So we borrowed against the policy, paid the taxes. We take the cash flow, we pay the policy loan back off. And then next year, now we've got an escrow account to cover that bill over and over and over again. You do the same thing. Let's say you need equipment. Let's say an opportunity comes up and you can buy a competitor, or you can get there on the cheap. And, so that kind of stuff. So you need liquidity. So we show people how to use insurance as a place to store cash. It's creditor protected, so nobody can sue you to get to the money. So there's a lot of things. So so there's a lot of, that's a whole strategy. On my, if you go to my YouTube channel, if you're all listening to this, there's a couple of ones. We have a video out there called Think Like a Bank, and I've got one Well, this is a podcast with my mentor Joe Pantozzi. I was talking about the banking strategy for business owners. You know, how to create an alternative system for financing so you can get the banks out of your life and control your financing yourself. You know, so though, you know, most of it's a mental shift. You have to learn this stuff. And you really, y'all don't know anybody that knows how to do it. So you can't go to your cousin in Primerica or your cousin at Prudential, not to name names. This is just not what they do. And they're great people. All of them are great people. They just, you know what you know.
So I need to ask a question. The question that I have, oh boy, hold on. Wait a minute. Question that I have is, what about Aflac and Vanguard?
So Aflac is a great company. Can you hear me? And so
Yes.
it depends. Like a lot of people they'll buy cancer policy, but cancer doesn't run in their family. You know, so some of it can be a wealth transfer. You really got to, you know, like for example, they have things I like with them. I like for example, they have an accident policy. Because what happens is you got to look at it this way. There's always gaps in coverage. And so like if you have health insurance, the health insurance pays the doctors. But what about your copay, or if you hurt yourself, or what? I had one of my clients, their son broke his collarbone playing soccer, right? So now if you have a like a plan like that, then it would cover going to the doctor, covering, you know, X amount, like $1,200 for a broken bone, blah, blah, blah. So it depends. You know, you got to look at it. So if people have them, we look at them. Sometimes you may have this coverage, but you have this similar coverage, critical illness, on another policy. And, you know, you may not need all of that. And so now if you can afford it, fine. But if money's tight, then, you know, we had a client, she had Aflac life insurance, but she had insurance with me, and my cost per thousand was cheaper. I said, so she had 100,000. We calculated what the cost per thousand was. She had 300,000 with me. It's like, you don't really need this. Her kids are grown, and mine was less expensive in the payment and also per thousand. So it's better for her to let that go. Vanguard, Vanguard is fine. There's nothing wrong with Vanguard. You know, it's not, remember, Vanguard is a money management company, right? So it's a great company. It's the biggest, I think it's the biggest mutual fund out there. And they're fantastic. The question is, that's not the question. Is there nothing wrong with Vanguard? There's nothing wrong with Aflac. The question is, what is your strategy and how do they help you get from point A to point B? Are you getting advice? You know, can you win with just focusing on mutual funds and qualified plans? That's the real question.
Okay, because I know, like, so you see the commercial, and the commercial come on and it tell you about if you lost your job and the duck is running around going Aflac. It's like something happened at home where you can't go back to work and it scream Aflac. Is that the place, and is that where you would go, or is it just that could be going, or you should go in regards to that? Is that a good fallback on?
Yes. Well, it's a couple of companies that do that. So there's another company that a friend of mine works with that swears they're better, you know, better rates, better coverage, whatever. So it's you know, voluntary. It's called voluntary benefits business. So it depends. You know, you have to look. See, what happens is you have to look. All that falls under protection, right? And so you have to look at protection in total, and then look at it to make sure that, okay, you're playing defense. You know, do you have, or should you protect yourself from long-term care? That's a big deal. Okay. And, you know, disability is a big deal. You know, should you, you know, so you have to look at all that stuff. It depends, like people get accidental death. Well, I did voluntary benefits. Only people, I don't even talk to people about that, you know, because you're just as dead if you die by accident or somebody shot you. You know, it doesn't matter. You're dead. So get what you need. Don't get, extra. It doesn't cost that much more because the likelihood of it happening is unrealistic. But there's a cost. You have a friend of mine, or the mother of one of my daughter's best friends is a claims accident claims for a big company, and so when we meet, we we bore everybody else, so we love talking insurance, and she tells me about these crazy claims she's investigating. So people do die by accident and you can get paid, but you need to buy what you need directly. So it is true. So the Aflac, I love the story because, like, yes, I've experienced that, right? So you can have your medical bills paid for, but you're still broke. You still got co-pays. You're still not fully back to work. And there's always gaps in coverage. There's deductibles. So you have to look at all of it. So, one of the things that we do with people is we look at all of it, okay, and see how it works. And they need to work you have to be holistic in your plan. You can't just be piecemeal.
Okay, so let's talk about Vanguard.
Okay.
So Vanguard, we were talking about investing earlier, knowing how to invest, because we make sure that we're going through the right stock exchange or investing our money properly, because they believe in 401k, because that's where some of our jobs come through. Well, when we're working, if you were working, some of you had the 401k through the Vanguard company. So some of the information you're speaking about this, where to put your money to invest so that you can get the follow-up through later. Do you suggest that Vanguard is the way to go, or no? Which ones, or will they be the ones to even tell you this is where to go? Is this a good place to advise you for what you should do with your money?
Well, they don't advise you on what you do with your money. You need to tell them. Some of them they may do, like Schwab does now. They have advisors, but that's just one asset class called paper. See, so good financial planning is 5 areas. It's helping average people spend, save, invest, insure, and plan for financial independence. So investing is one of 5 things I just named. And if I were to put them in order, investing is last. Because remember, what you're describing, I don't consider investing.
Well, there you go. That's a lot there. So wow. Anything else? Any questions? We did open up the phone lines. So if you have a huge question that you want to ask, this will be the opportunity. You could call in and you could talk to Mr. Curtis May, formerly known as James Brown, writer of Don't Ask Me for Nothing, because I don't want nobody give you. You don't want nobody give you nothing.
I get it myself. It's my father's favorite.
Get it myself.
Get it myself.
So, wow. So I'm gonna mute you out again. While I was out on mute, Mr. Curtis May didn't recognize that I heard him when he said, that's another subject for another segment. You're unmuted now.
What? I said that like 3 times. What part?
Yeah, you sure did. So with that being said, that means y'all know it's a possibility that Mr. Curtis May is going to come back again. So the question is Lynette again. And Lynette, thank you so much, because you're asking a question that some people don't ask because they don't want to ask the question because they feel like they should know, or they're embarrassed to know, or they don't want to throw the screen up and get the no. So we appreciate you throwing out your question. So the question is, at what age or for what reason can you freeze taxes? Can you answer that question for us, Curtis? Wait a minute.
At no age. Am I ready?
Yep.
At no age and for no reason, you cannot freeze taxes. Okay, government wants their money. So render on the Caesar with the Caesars. Okay. So now you ain't got to leave them a tip. Okay, but you have to organize your affairs. So because see, right now, if you're an employee, you earn money, you get taxed. So it's not they're going to take your tax. When you look at your paycheck, they're getting their money, right? And then you get to spend what's left over, right? So that's why if you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, the first lesson in Rich Dad Poor Dad says rich people don't work for money. Okay? Because that work for money means they don't work for W-2 income, right? So there's 3 types of income. I think we talked about this last week: earned income, passive income, and portfolio income. So they work for passive income. Like, so if you got rental properties, if you get your rent check, there's no FICA for you to Medicare taken out of that. So this is when you look at the tax code. See, if you're in business, you earn money, you get to spend / invest your money pre-tax, and then you take your legitimate deductions, and then you pay Uncle Sam after you've written stuff off: your car, your plane, your house, your vacations that you can make them a legitimate business expense, and then you pay off. So what happens is it's easier to get ahead if you get 100% of your money than 60. So you gotta, this is why people say, oh, people don't pay their fair share. I can't stand when people say that. It drives me crazy, because that just means you don't understand how money works, and you don't understand the tax system. And so you're upset about something you shouldn't be upset about. That's an opportunity if you will take the time to learn.
Yeah, you're going to learn today.
Gonna learn today.
Only thing you're learning today is, okay, I need to be asking better questions, because so all I'm gonna do is give you the questions. So when I get finished talking, I always tell people my goal is to you're going to have more questions at the end of this session than you'll have answers. But in my mind, that's a good thing, because now that means you're starting to think, as opposed to having people tell you what to think, and you're getting your information from sound bites and, clips off of Facebook or from dirt. You have to, you have to read a book. I make our clients, you work with me, you must read at least a book a month on money, which is just reading 10 to 12 pages a day. Right. And so, but if you read 10 to 12 pages a day, because one asset is what? You. Okay. And so now, I guarantee you, in 12 months, if you do that and you journal and you try to implement, you're going to be a different person by the end of the year. I challenge you to, to take me up on that offer and see. And so what happens is, when you do that, guess what? I tell people, look, you ain't going to catch me, because I read at least a book a week, right? And so our conversations get better when we do our annual reviews, right? And so now we can go into more stuff. There are things right now, you're asking to ask me questions about finances, but sometimes that's the same thing as, like, let's say Einstein was alive, and somebody said, look, I can get you a meeting with Einstein, ask him any question you want about quantum physics. What? I would have no idea what does MC squared equal, what is the theory of relativity, and maybe I could possibly understand that only because I watched Interstellar. But but that's the thing. So, but what happens is you'll get better questions. You'll hear people that completely disagree with me, because what I'm sharing with you is against 98% of mainstream stuff. Okay, because the financial advice is designed for the masses. The masses have jobs. Business owners don't do that. So if you're a business owner and you're listening to the masses stuff, that is for employees. If you're a business owner, your whole world is completely different. You can't do that stuff. It is not good advice for you to work for money and send your money to somebody else's business. Right? I ask people, my clients or investors, say, listen, speaking of Vanguard, I say, listen, do you think if you got this money, so I've got a guy, he's got like 5 or 6, 7 properties, he's got great cash flow. I've got another guy who's got private lending. And I say, listen, do you think you can make more money than Vanguard or Fidelity on your portfolio if you had control of the money? He goes, absolutely. So all my people they answered that, right? So, okay, if you can do better than this, where would you like to have your money, where you can control it and put it to work for you, or give it to this fund manager you ain't never met?
Do it yourself.
You do it yourself. Because if you're educated, the more knowledge you have, your risk goes down. If you buy an asset that generates cash flow and you're getting money back every month, your risk goes down because you're getting your money back every month. So once you have all your money back out of the investment, there's no risk and it's still throwing off cash flow. So you got to think. So how do you start to think like this? I would tell you, just start working your way through the Rich Dad books. If you like women, I would get Laura Langmeyer's book, The Millionaire Maker. And so I love her because she's what I call the anti-Susie Orman. Okay. And so anyway, that's
What's her name? What's the name of the book?
The Millionaire Maker by Laura Langmeyer. So where Kiyosaki's book kind of teaches you how to think, Laurel's book is very tactical. Here's what you do. Here are the 9 core building blocks of building a wealth cycle, she calls it. And so I kind of teach some of this stuff in our talking. You know, Curtis has no original thoughts. I've got successful people. I'm a 3rd generation business owner. You know, so some of the stuff that my family's done and stuff I would learn not to do because we screwed up that I tell you. So, you know, I'm doing about the virtue of experience. And, you know, I lived through 3 crashes and I started to study economics because I was like, why is this happening? Why don't I understand? And I just still get the pat advice, oh, the market's going to come back. I needed more than that. I'm a nerd. I needed to figure out what was going on. And I started digging deeper so that I could understand why. You know, and so I would encourage y'all, if you want to get on my mailing list, if you go to our website, practicalwealthadvisors.com, and then there if you log in, it'll put you on my mailing list, but it will give you a video. You can kind of see that me going through like 19 minutes of kind of an overview, and then you have the ability. My podcast is on the site. You can listen to or subscribe to the podcast, and then you can also, you know, from there, if any of this intrigued you, I would love to, you know, have a conversation. Just go there and put yourself on my calendar, and we can have a complimentary discussion about this. And, you know, hopefully I've sparked some ideas, but it needs context, you know, and it needs to be customized for you. Go ahead.
No, you sparked me.
Okay. And so that's that. I was going to show one thing. You tell me how our time is. I was going to do a thing called Retirement Ready or Not that I take people through. That I think might answer the 401k question.
We have time.
All right. So I'm going to give you an example. Let me do a quick screen share. So I'll do this for everybody and do the numbers, but I'm just going to do. I don't have the sample. I have a sample I call Mr. and Mrs. Moneybags. So when I ask people about their accumulated money, I say on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in your preparation for retirement? So I get a lot of 3s, 4s. I had one woman and she told me, oh, I'm a 7. I'm like, okay. And so this person was 55. They made, what did she make? She made $106,000 a year. She was saving $20,000 a year. She had $350,000 a year in her 401k. Okay. And so a lot of times I'll put in, she wasn't going to get a pension. So retirement plans are 3-legged stool, like pension, personal savings, Social Security. Now, I use this to show, so this is the accumulation theory model. You'll have all this money. So this is a real person. So, and let's say you're going to live to life expectancy 85, for her it's probably longer. And so let's look at this. So we talk about your personal economy. What this is saying, if she works till 65, she will earn another $1.1 million over 10 years. That's going to flow through her personal economy. That makes sense? Just on $100,000 a year and working 10 years, that's $1.2 million, right? And so I didn't put tax. Let me do this. So let's say I'm just going to put a 15% tax rate. So look down here. So out of that 106, she's saving 20 plus 15% taxes. So she's living on 73,000. Okay. Now, so let's look at that. So I'll do this example for you in 10 minutes.
And the 73,000, that's the present value, what she has.
Correct. That's the present value. That's what she's living on today. Okay. So now look at this. So she's netting 86,000. She's paying $12,000 in taxes. So let's look at, I'm just going to hit step. Now watch this. So this is her money. So she's got 20 grand a year going into her investment tank. Okay, boom, game over. So now what just happened here? So she's doing well, right? So she's saving like $20,000 a year. So in 10 years, she would have $942,000 in her 401k. Okay, but her life cost adjusted for inflation is what now?
98.
So by age 73, she's out of money.
Wow.
Other than Social Security.
If I had a whistle,
because that's only 10 years worth
wow.
of income. She's saved for only 10 years.
Mm-hmm. And she's got almost $1 million. Most people have like 100,000, 150,000, 200,000. Now, so four most important questions a financial person should ever ask you. Here's question number one. What kind of rate of return do I need to live like I want to do? So you would have to ask. So what you need is $1.9 million. Okay. And in order for you to have the $1.9 million, you've got to average 15% a year, every year, with no losses.
Wow.
How realistic is that? Not very. With no losses.
Now,
you might have years where you do that, but you've got to do it every year with no losses. Go ahead. Okay. Let me hit them all and think about your question. Okay, so I'm gonna try to hit them all. So what happens is, so now I go, people say, listen, well, here's the other option. You could work, well, I'm gonna work longer. I don't need all that money. I was like, listen, because you're not counting healthcare costs and you're not working. If every day is Saturday, you're gonna spend more money or less money. Okay. And so you could work longer. So in order to work longer, you would need $1.6 million, and you got to work and do this, say 20 grand a year. You got to work to age 72. Okay. That's the other option. You could, let's reset that. You could spend less. So right now you need $100 a month, $98,000 a year. But if you wanted to make it last, you could reduce your lifestyle by 51% to $3,983 a month, or $47,000 a year, and you could make it do under $942,000 if you were to cut your consumption in half. But is retirement a zero-sum game? Do prices stay the same?
No.
Okay, so even if you do that, think about what the price of gas was when you graduated high school. So the economy doesn't stand still. So a lot of times I don't show this here, but I'm just going to do this right here for a second time. Or you can save more. Let's reset that. So in order to accumulate that amount of money, you need to be saving she needs to be saving almost $7,000 a month, which is 2/3 of her income. focusing on the accumulation theory, meaning that here's what I need for my retirement, let's say. And so what though, so I try to get people light at the end of the tunnel, what if we could go back? So that, as they say in Georgia, that dog don't hunt, right? And so what if you could build your yellow tank, whereas I've got people on this game plan. So let's say you could buy 2 rental properties a year for the next 5 years. Let's say you could net $400 a month. Let's say $300 a month. That's basically what you're going to get. Especially we teach people how to buy turnkeys, which are, I had a client bought 3 properties in Birmingham, Alabama last year. She just showed me her spreadsheet. We're doing a review this week where she is, I think her net cash flow is like $12,000 or $13,000 a year off the 3 properties we helped her buy in 1 year, right? And so now, if you could buy, if you look at your numbers and say, well, all right, what is my, let's call it your strike number. This is from Atlas Shrugged. Your number when you have enough money where you can just go on strike and don't do anything if you don't want to. So if you say, well, all right, I need $8,000 a month, and I divide that by 300 that I make per house, then I need 26 properties, right? So if you were to divide that over 10 years, that's, well, 2.6, but let's say 2-3 properties a year. Could you do that? Could you learn how to do that?
I can learn quick.
Learn, okay? Because I'm telling you, the other way don't work. Unless you're like a highly compensated person. Possibly, maybe. I won't say it don't work, but I've not many people that are millionaires from mutual funds. And so, but I know tons of people that do this in 10 years or less. So that don't have to be 10 single family houses. That could be 2 12-unit apartment buildings. Okay, that you can learn how to do. So on our show, this is the stuff we talk about. In my membership program, this is the stuff we talk about, how to find another way to skin that cat. But it's going to require what? You've got to learn some stuff, right? So that is what I mean. You've got to work on you. You're the number one asset. You just got to know how to do this. You got to learn how to do this. But if you want $100,000 of mutual funds, how much money do you need? Not a trick question.
100 million.
100 grand. If you want $100,000 for real estate, for example, how much money do you need?
A portion of that. I don't know the exact.
Like 20%, I say, just to say, And so now, so you can come up with 20, and the bank will loan you 80 to control that asset and generate cash flow where your tenants are paying the debt back and you get positive cash flow. And you get to write off the depreciation against your job income.
Wow.
Now you get to be like the president. No, not going there. Just kidding.
Not my president, but you could be like that businessman that everybody talking about called number 45. And talking about business. That's about the end of our business for tonight.
Yeah, so I hope that was helpful.
It was great helpful, but do y'all think the store is closed? No. The store is not closed. We get to eat again. So you have to stay tuned for next month and pin your pins and stick a pin in it so that Curtis can come back and pick up where he left off at. That's right. Bring your papers because he's going to give you a test. I'm just trying to tell you.
Right. Feel free to call me because you ain't going to get it all listening to me once a month. You got to implement. So you need somebody that knows how to do this. So shameless plug. But
ain't no shame. Listen, it's business.
Well, I can't help you. I mean, I hope I'm giving you some thoughts, but you can't. You gotta, at some point, you need a coach. And that's, even Jordan had a coach. You could be I've got great real estate investors. Some of them make more money than me, but I know more about this than they do.
And indeed, you have proven that to be correct. So we want to thank you for taking out the time to come out and once again sponge on us. You definitely left off or picked up where you left off last week. Before we go, again, we want to say, everybody, thank you so much. Once again, you always come through, and I'm glad that whenever you come through, you're able to eat. Ain't nothing like going to somebody's house, ain't no food. But on the back of the note, we're doing something just a smidge different real quick because Kim gotta go. And we want to thank all y'all that tuned, especially you, Lynette, because again, you asked questions that people like, yeah, what about that? Yeah, what about that too? I don't think I could type fast, so I'm gonna have to bring you on the show and let you be our typist because you was getting your type on and you was on it. So I'm not picking on you. I'm loving on you. And he said, I'm glad you came back, Kurt. And she said she's learning, and she says thank you so much, and you can let her know that you will be back.
I will be back.
Okay, so let's
be back.
So listen, this is our inspirational moment. Just a quick, brief moment where everybody will leave an inspirational thought where we can hold on to the next time we see each other. Because after all, everything that's going through right now, I think all of us need just a moment of something that we can pin and hold on to. And because times is kind of hard right now. And we're all getting hit in every way in each corner. And so mine is, when life knocks you down, try to land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. Okay. So what's yours, Kim?
You didn't give me a moment to get enough time to come up with one. But I'll, for me, go ahead, Kurt. You take the floor.
So, and what I've been saying this all throughout the COVID, the pandemic situation, on the other side of crisis, there's opportunity. And so what you've got to do is you've got to fight for the lessons. So you got to protect yourself, but there's also opportunities to grow. And so you've got to fight for that. You've got to say, all right, what did I learn from this? Okay. If now there's been precedent for a next president to do this, we can shut everything down. Well, okay, what industries not only survived but thrived in this? Well, this is what I would talk to my kids about. What if this happens again? How should you position yourself? What skills do you need to be learning? Okay. And so this was a warning shot across the bow, right? So that you can, okay, listen, one is the worst word in business. I need more than one way to make money. I need to have access to my money. I need to understand the game. And so I would look at this I would stay focused and have a morning ritual where I read stuff, where I set goals, where I journaled, and I learned new stuff so that I could make myself not just resilient, but anti-fragile, meaning that when things get tough, you actually get even stronger.
Amen. I agree. So listen, y'all already know church comes in. Y'all didn't think church wasn't coming in, did y'all? Y'all must didn't know me. So what I'm going to say is this. Scripture says he always prepares you for the desert experience before you actually hit the desert. So this piggybacks right off of what Curtis just said. This was a warning shot. This is before the big shot. So I ought to suggest that you ought to treat this like a storm, and we ought to get prepared and get ready, get everything in place that needs to be in place so that when the storm does hit, we can go into our shelter places and we can be safe. And we can be, we be safe. Because right now, a lot of us felt as though we haven't been safe. We're not safe. It's like the world has gone up in flames, in burning hell. And so that's what I would like to say. So Kim says there is another side of through. You will get to the other side when you get what? Oh, when you get there, God is there to give you a high five. Okay. Good night and God bless. So of course y'all already know Kim's in school. So it's time for Kim to be in class. So Kim had to go, and she couldn't say good night. However, we're going to say good night. So as Kim left, is there anything else you want to say, Kim?
No, check out the Practical Wealth Show where you listen to podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and if you'd like to have a discussion, go check out practicalwealthadvisors.com and let's have a talk. Try to put this stuff to work in your life.
All right. It's time to get to work, people. And talking about get to work, November 3rd, we be pushing it. So stay tuned because we ain't playing. We said enough with all of this. We got the know-how, and now we're going to do what we have to do to get him out. How? USC. So with that being said, of course, it's Breast Cancer Month. So today, in honor of Breast Cancer Month awareness, we all wore our pink. So the ladies, we're in sponsoring, and we're also sending you good vibes, good strength, love, energy, and inspiration to know that your sisters are behind you and we're standing with you in our pink. Also, October 31st, we will have a special segment related and dedicated to all of our cancer survivors and fighters. So if you know someone who is a survivor or a fighter of breast cancer, please do get in touch with the Sister Chat, as well as the No BS Duo Show. And we all will come together and we will be able to have our glorious day on October 31st at the 8 o'clock showing. So if you are, or you know anybody that is a breast cancer survivor or fighter, please do contact us. So on October 31st, we will be able to honor them and let the end of the month go out with a bang, letting everybody know that not only we are aware, but we're supporting and lifting up all the people because we care. Yeah.
That is awesome. This is great. It was fun. Hopefully we helped some folks learn a few things. So it's good stuff. And be safe out there. And I thank you for allowing me to share.
I thank you for coming back, and we will let y'all know when you're coming back again. So on that note, we're going to say good night the way the Sister Chat does, but we're going to show Kurt how we do it on the Sister Chat. So for now, we say to you, of course, we love you, and when times get hard, do know they will get hard. They can get hard, but you don't give up when it's time to get hard, because we're here to remind you, to encourage and inspire you that you can adjust your crown. There's nothing wrong with you. It just needs to be adjusted a little bit. And once it's adjusted, you can do what you got to do and know that you too can make it. So once again, the system stopped playing with us and let us tell you and remind you just how you can make it and what you're going to need to make it. You gotta love technology. What can I say? But remember, y'all, it gets no better than Sister Chat. Not because of us, but because of you. Because we love you. You know why?
Information is free. Read it, write it, and it makes a difference for me. It's all around, everywhere. Open your eyes so you can see. Can you make it? Can you make it? Can you make it? I guess I can do it. Oh, can you make it? Can you make it? There's nothing in this world that can keep you from your purpose. Doing what you set your mind to do. Your mind to do. Ability within your reach and stay. No one to blame for your excuse. Don't blame on you.
We love you. Bye-bye.